It's 10 o'clock. This is Sky News at 10, our top story. "26 police officers injured and 24 people arrested as pockets of violence flare in a London protest organised by Tommy Robinson.
Time and time again, every time they think they beat us down, we come back stronger. Look at these crowds.
Thousands of others join counter-protests led by anti-racism campaigners. Mandelson fallout. Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch accuses Sir Keir Starmer of lying about what he knew before the ambassador's sacking. President Trump says he's ready to impose new sanctions on Moscow, but demands that all NATO countries stop buying Russian oil. Also,
they killed Charlie because he preached a message of patriotism, faith, and of God's merciful love.
The widow of Charlie Kirk says her cries will echo like a battle cry in her first public remarks since he was shot dead at a US university. Plus, stuck in traffic, we explain why disruption caused by roadworks in Britain has never felt worse. And we'll take a first look at tomorrow's front pages in our press preview from 10:30. Good evening. The Met says 26 police officers have been injured during violence that flared during today's huge protest in central London. More than 24 people have been arrested. It's estimated that as many as 150,000 answered the call from the far-right activist Tommy Robinson to join his event, dubbed Unite the Kingdom. Amongst the guest appearances was Elon Musk, who, speaking via video link, decried what he called Britain's massive, uncontrolled migration. Police spent the day keeping the surging crowd separated from about 5,000 anti-racism campaigners who staged a counter-demonstration. Tom Cheshire reports.
The tinderbox summer of protests promised by activists never truly caught flame. Instead, a slow burn of nationalism, maybe more powerful for it, and this was the culmination. More than 100,000 people gathering to march in central London, a sea of flags. Unite the Kingdom was the all-encompassing slogan, drawn widely enough to mean different things for different people, whether that was free speech or immigration.
Why are they coming in like that? Surely that's wrong. Why I wouldn't skip on a boat and go to another country and hop off and expect to be well looked after. But apart from that, this is just United Kingdom.
Just to stand up for what I believe in. Yeah. We're losing identity of our country and somebody needs to stand up and fight for it.
People may have had different reasons, but they came for the same person. At the centre of it all, the anti-Islam activist Tommy Robinson.
Here at the front of March, Tommy Robinson's just there, thick throng of security, heavily protected, giving a lot of cheers, a lot of waves. This march extends a very, very long way behind us. A huge number of people who've turned out today behind that man, Tommy Robinson.
None of his previous rallies had drawn a crowd this big. And what's newer too is the overt displays of Christian nationalism. When the crowd assembled, they were led in a chant of Christ as King, and then the Lord's Prayer.
Hallowed be thy name.
As the heavens opened. 4 giant screens were set up along Whitehall. Organisers said the area was completely full. When Robinson took the stage, it was more like a football match or a festival than a political rally.
We weathered the storm, and today we are the storm.
And that's not much of an exaggeration, not when Elon Musk, the world's richest man, made a virtual appearance to back Robinson. Support for Robinson doesn't mean total agreement with him, though.
When he's talking about, he uses language sometimes, like that speech he said, traitors in Westminster. Do you agree with that?
Not necessarily, but I do think he has a good point with some of the things he has come up with, some of the things he has spoken about, the things he's got evidence with.
And it's clear that simply writing off protesters as far-right thugs doesn't really capture what's going on either.
My mum has been telling me about this march, and I really wanted to go and support London.
This was certainly the largest nationalist rally in recent memory. For those here, it was not just the cap to a long summer of discontent, but the start of something bigger. Tom Cheshire, Sky News, Whitehall.
Well, police deployed extra officers as trouble picked up and more people than expected arrived to march. The Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, condemned those who attacked officers, insisting they'll face the full force of the law. Our crime correspondent Martin Brunt saw some of the confrontations.
We don't need the fascist right!
For 2 hours, the policing plan had worked. The rival groups were kept apart until this moment. A small band of Tommy Robinson supporters appeared to have slipped through police lines to confront the tail end of the counter-demo. 2 police officers called urgently for backup. Suddenly, there was the sort of confrontation police had tried to avoid. It took a few minutes for reinforcements to arrive.
We're stopping that lot, getting in there, in front of them.
An officer was badly injured in scuffles.
Get back!
His colleagues quickly identified a suspect, but they had to wait to get him through the angry crowd. In Whitehall, police clashed with Unite the Kingdom protesters. There were 1,000 officers to police the rival rallies, but it wasn't enough. They were overwhelmed by Robinson's followers.
There were so many of them that they couldn't squeeze into their dedicated area near Parliament Square. So what they did was to loop around through the side streets and come up behind the rival march. And that's what led to that early confrontation between the 2 groups.
In a statement, the Metropolitan Police said officers tried to prevent Robinson's supporters from taking alternative routes. Police said when officers moved in to stop them, they faced unacceptable violence. They were assaulted with kicks and punches. Bottles, flares and other projectiles were thrown.
The numbers for Unite the Kingdom clearly took everyone by surprise. It shocked me when I saw the numbers there. It probably even shocked the organisers. I think the number did overwhelm the police and surprised them, and probably surprised some of the cordons they put in place in certain areas to try and keep these groups apart, and those cordons were breached on occasions.
As the 2 rallies ended, some protesters were reluctant to leave, and there was lingering tension. Martin Brunt, Sky News, Central London.
The Conservative leader, Kemi Badenoch, has accused Sir Keir Starmer of lying about Peter Mandelson prior to sacking him as Britain's ambassador to the US. Pressure is building on the Prime Minister about what he knew and when regarding Lord Mandelson's correspondence with the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. And there's anger amongst Labour backbench MPs over Mr Starmer's handling of the affair. Our chief political correspondent, John Craig, reports.
A brief escape from political turmoil for Sir Keir Starmer as he watched his beloved Arsenal beat Nottingham Forest 3-0. But as some Labour MPs claim time is running out for the embattled PM after the Peter Mandelson-Jeffrey Epstein scandal, the Conservative leader turned up the heat, accusing him of lying to MPs when he defended the former Washington ambassador. If Number 10 had those emails for 48 hours before acting, it means he lied at PMQs and ministers lied again about new additional information, she said on social media. Not so, say Starmer supporters.
You know, Prime Minister has taken action incredibly quickly. Look, the emails clearly showed that the depth and extent of the relationship between Peter Mandelson and Jeffrey Epstein was materially different from what was known about.
Labour Deputy Leadership challenger Lucy Powell, sacked as Commons leader last week, called for a change of culture inside 10 Downing Street, a call backed by many Labour MPs.
What he needs to do now is get on top and sort out this mess. First thing he can do is suspend the whip from Peter Mandelson and expel him from the party.
Some Labour MPs believe Andy Burnham, the Greater Manchester Mayor and so-called King of the North, is laying the groundwork for a leadership bid.
It's said to be the talk of the Commons tea room, though his supporters say it's pure speculation with no substance.
In Lord Mandelson's former constituency of Hartlepool, where he was MP from 1992 to 2004, there's little sympathy for his latest demise.
In my opinion, he did nothing for Hartlepool. He had different agendas.
Starmer didn't act quick enough, yeah. Should never have employed him in the first place.
They're no better than the Tories. They said that they wouldn't have any scandal, and scandal's following them all over.
In his last speech before his sacking, Lord Mandelson was self-deprecating about his role in public life.
I offer my thoughts on the future of the special relationship, particularly as I steel myself once again to perform my familiar role as professional villain.
Villain or not, Sir Keir will now have to do without Lord Mandelson when he hosts President Trump on his state visit to the UK in just a few days' time.
Let's cross now to John Craig, who's outside number 10 for us tonight. And John, big questions around the vetting of Peter Mandelson, and some questions tonight about the fact that he was appointed before any security checks could have been carried out.
There are more allegations about lapses in the vetting process. The Sunday Telegraph, for example, is reporting that he was appointed before proper checks were carried out. Now, number 10 say that's standard procedure, which will leave a lot of Labour MPs and other opposition MPs aghast. We reported here on Sky News during the week that, in fact, there was vetting, but that was overruled by number 10. Now, number 10 have launched something as a fight back against the allegations of lapses here, saying that Mr. Mandelson, Lord Mandelson as he now is, was economical with the truth in answers he gave to questions that were put to him. Now, it's reported that there was an email sent to Mr. Mandelson asking 3 questions. It was sent by Morgan McSweeney, the Chief of Staff here, who's in big trouble. A lot of MPs saying he should be the next to go because he's made a complete mess of the handling of the Angela Rayner business, and now Lord Mandelson, which is causing the government all sorts of problems. But Mr. McSweeney is said to have asked on the PM's behalf, number 1, why did he continue contact with Jeffrey Epstein after he was convicted? Number 2, why was he reported to have stayed in one of Epstein's homes while the financier was in prison? And 3, was he associated with a charity founded by Epstein's associate Ghislaine Maxwell that the financier had backed? Now, those answers, there were all sorts of denials from Lord Mandelson, we understand, and that's prompted the claim from here in number 10 that he was economical with the truth. Lord Mandelson's not going without a fight, so there's all sorts of talk about him getting a big payoff. We know that he refused to resign and waited to be sacked. The writing really was on the wall when the new Foreign Secretary, no fan of Peter Mandelson, marched into Downing Street on Thursday morning. Don't forget that Yvette Cooper, husband Ed Balls, 2 of Gordon Brown's closest associates, and Gordon Brown, one of Peter Mandelson's long-term foes. And so that was really what sealed his fate on Thursday. But he's not going without a fight, and there are massive recriminations about security blunders both here, the Secret Service and the Foreign Office. In the House of Commons on Monday, both Conservatives and Reform UK hope to get drag a minister to the House to answer more questions. It'll probably fall to Stephen Doughty, who was the minister who made the announcement last Thursday. So this row is going to drag on for days as Peter Mandelson battles to salvage what's left of his reputation, and number 10 indulges in a blame game. And all the time, Labour MPs are furious and accusing the Prime Minister of making a complete mess of this, and some are even questioning how long the Prime Minister can survive.
Indeed, John, thank you very much. Well, plenty more coverage tomorrow on Sunday Morning with Trevor Phillips. The Business Secretary Peter Kyle, Shadow Education Secretary Laura Trott and former UK Ambassador to the US, Lord Darroch, are amongst Trevor's guests from 8:30 a.m. The widow of assassinated Conservative activist Charlie Kirk has declared that her cries will echo around the world like a battle cry. Erica Kirk made her first public remarks since Wednesday's shooting from the office where her late husband hosted his podcast. Police, meanwhile, say the accused gunman, Tyler Robinson, had expressed opposition to family about Mr. Kirk's contentious views. Our US correspondent David Blevins reports.
With full military honours, they brought him home to Arizona. Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica, comforted on the tarmac by Usha Vance, the Vice President's wife.
Oh, I love you.
She later posted this video of her husband's open coffin.
I love you. I love you.
Vowing that the global movement he built would never die.
God bless you.
If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country and this world. You have no idea. You have no idea the fire that you have ignited within this wife. The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry.
Police have removed a car from the home of the suspect, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, a neighbour revealing that she came face to face with him shortly after he's alleged to have carried out the shooting.
Looking over, seeing that he was limping, kind of being like, oh, okay. And then long black shirt, kind of thinking that's kind of weird. It's kind of super hot outside. It's kind of odd, I don't know. Like, now that I think about it, it's just very, like, chilling to me.
The killing of the conservative influencer who championed Donald Trump highlights the depth of division here. 83-year-old Marty has been protesting outside the White House for 7 years. He was no fan of Charlie Kirk, but longs for peaceful discourse.
I disagree with him on so many things. And certainly if he had been my neighbor, I would never have invited him to dinner nor accepted an invitation from him. Find him a reprehensible man, but political violence can only lead to political violence. There is no other outcome possible. And so killing somebody like him, absolutely unacceptable and absolutely the wrong direction for this country.
This has been described as a moment of reckoning for America, a potential watershed. But real change would require a tempering of the rhetoric by both sides, a commitment to the norms of political debate. And there are many who say that starts right here, at the top. A family is grieving for a husband and father. The Vice President is mourning a close personal friend. And America is confronting, yet again, the cost of polarising politics. David Blevins, Sky News in Washington.
President Trump says he'll impose further sanctions on Moscow if NATO nations do the same and stop buying Russian oil. Posting on his social media platform, the US president wrote his belief that NATO's commitment to winning the war has been far less than 100%, and that the purchase of Russian oil by some alliance members is shocking. He's also proposed that NATO, as a group, place huge tariffs on China to weaken its economic ties to Russia. Police are investigating reports of a racially motivated rape of a Sikh woman in the West Midlands. Officers were called to the Tame Road area of Oldbury on Tuesday, where a woman in her 20s told them she was attacked by 2 white men. Police say it is an isolated incident, but understand the anger and worry caused. The Met Office has issued a yellow wind warning across most of England and Wales for tomorrow and Monday. Wind gusts of up to 70 miles per hour are forecast for exposed areas, and widespread strong winds are likely to cause some disruption to travel and interruptions to power. Albania's Prime Minister has appointed an AI bot as a minister in his cabinet. The bot, named Diela, will handle public procurement and the awarding of contracts to private firms. The country's leader says it will help ensure tenders are awarded free from corruption. Time now to get all the latest sports news with Gavin.
Staying connected is vital for business. Sky Business sponsors this report.
Sorry, I just have a German passport. Hopefully I can convince them and show them and prove them that I'm proud to be the English manager.
For only the third time in history, the FA have turned to a foreign manager to take charge of the men's England team. Thomas Tuchel follows in the footsteps of Sven-Göran Eriksson.
If we don't do results, of course, they will try to hang me, but even if I was an Englishman, they hang me. So let's...
And Fabio Capello.
A winner with a capital W. That was the template. This is the man.
When the news about Tuchel broke, there was a mixed media reaction. Some in Tuchel see a Champions League winning manager and the best candidate available if you want to win a World Cup. That's certainly how the FA bosses view it. But for others, there's a more fundamental principle here. They believe that an Englishman should be in charge of England.
Well, I was hoping we'd get an English manager, but when you look at the choices, there are very few, aren't they?
The jobs are so prestigious and there's so much money in the job that people are tempted to spread the net wide.
There's nothing in the water that stops it. It's all about opportunity. I think it's probably a little bit simplistic just to put it down to national borders.
On whichever side of the debate you fall, there is one fact which is indisputable. The pool of English coaches at the elite level of the game is pretty shallow. And the key question is, why?
What we are deemed as English coaches, we're responsible for.
Do you feel like to get a job in the Premier League as an Englishman, you have to be promoted to the division?
I would say 99 times out of 100. You can't just give people jobs.
I want to try and help in any way that I can produce more English managers.
I'm at St George's Park. Opened in 2012, the FA intended this place to be a centre of excellence and a destination of choice for players, coaches, administrators and officials alike. Why have the FA turned to the continent to replace an English manager who's been the most successful in the top job since Sir Alf Ramsey? Well, to answer that question, you have to look much deeper within the game. Before the birth of the Premier League, the English First Division was won predominantly by teams with British managers. 38 Englishmen, 10 Scotsmen and an Irishman in Bob Kyle. The Premier League was formed in 1992 and that date coincides with the last time an English manager was in charge of a team that won the top division. If I'd said to you back in 1992 that no English manager would win the top division for another 33 years and counting, you'd have been shocked, wouldn't you?
No, my first response would have been, don't be stupid, based on what I saw at the time. Don't be stupid. It's not sadness, it's just a lot of that sentimentality. But sometimes it does you good to be sentimental. My desire is, or would be, it's the England team, we need an England coach. But what I think of as ideal has to then be placed in perspective with regard to the reality. And the reality being, do we think there are people around who can take the England team to where we'd like it to be in terms of position? And if they decide that they don't think that's possible, I don't see that they can make any other decision. Football, as we all know, has changed. And I think that now, particularly with regard to football and the Premier League in this country's possibly become the new Hollywood. The Hollywood of the 40s, 50s. It's just the place to be. The Premier League is now global.
And does that mean there's a bigger pool of coaches worldwide that want to come here and that are available?
Sky Business sponsors this report.
Now, it can feel like roadworks are everywhere these days, and now data is explaining why. Sky News has learnt that there were more than 425,500 miles of roadworks across the UK last year, enough to stretch around the world 17 times. And one expert has blamed Boris Johnson, at least partially. Oliver Whitfield-Miocic reports.
These traffic lights are meant to be temporary. But in some parts of the country, roadworks now feel permanent. And it's a pledge from one former Prime Minister that's still leaving motorists seeing red.
We've made huge progress, by the way, in rolling out gigabit broadband.
throughout the UK.
Boris Johnson's vow of faster internet for everyone was part of his levelling up agenda. But as construction crews drilled down, drivers are now facing far more delays.
It's absolutely true that the rollout of super fast fibre has caused a huge spike, because